This is Matt Coyne, host of The Cheap Seats. Thank you for listening to the following broadcast here on Public House Media.
This is Rachel Mullins, host of #NoFilterFriday here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my new show, #NoFilterFriday, where we talk about all of the sexual misconduct allegations swirling around Hollywood. A new show drops every Friday at 8:30 Pacific Standard Time. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you'll never miss an episode of #NoFilterFriday. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Today's verse of the day comes from Romans 12, verse 12. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Good morning and welcome to the Verse of the Day podcast presented by Public House Media. I'm your host, Baxter Colburn. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Verse of the Day. I hope that wherever you are, as you get ready for your week, you are excited to tackle a whole new week of experiences and exciting adventures. You never know what your week is going to have in store for you, honestly, but we all know that fun things are always around the corner for us, regardless if we are ready for it or not. A quick reminder for you, the podcast here is Verse of the Day. We can be found on Apple Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and whatever app you get your podcasts on. We appreciate that whatever way you are listening to us today, that you are. We hope you'll tell a friend and that you will also subscribe to the show if you haven't done so already so you never miss an episode. It comes out Monday through Friday on Public House Media. Today's verse is very short and very sweet, and I want to try to keep my message to you this morning about that as well, too, because where it's a Monday, we're just getting back into the groove of things, and we need to ease into the week, right? We don't need to just get all down and crazy and deep into the word right off the bat. So I want to start us off with a nice, easy one this week. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Now, if you're like me, you hear a lot of words consistently, but you don't always know what they mean. And affliction is one of those words for me that I was like, I feel like I know what that means, but I need to look it up. So I want to share the definition of affliction with you this morning. Affliction is something that causes pain or suffering, or just an instance of one celestial body affecting another. That's more so in astrology. We're going to stick to the standard English definition, something that causes pain or suffering. We face a lot of adversities, and of course, as I was just saying at the top of the show, as we are now headed into a new week, a whole new slew of challenges, a whole new slew of adventure is waiting for you for this week. And this is, I think, a fantastic reminder for us. This is a verse that I'm going to carry with myself all week long, that I'm going to constantly reflect back on and remind myself on, because during this week, you're going to go through some joyous moments, so you need to be joyful in those times. You're going to need to be patient when you get thrown into these situations of affliction that cause you pain or suffering. Something at work isn't going to go right, something at school isn't going to go right, but how you respond to that is ultimately going to set the tone for your week. How you respond to it being Monday is going to set the tone for your entire week. So keep that in the back of your mind as well, too, because your motivation for your week, what is that? For me, it's I have grad school work I have to get done this week. I have obligations at my work I have to get done. But what's my motivation, though? I'm not talking about your to-do list, because we all have that to-do list, right? Every single day, we wake up in the back of our minds, we know exactly what we need to do, and we try to figure out what it is that we need to do and how we're going to do it, and what's going to be the best way for us to get that figured out as well, too. So when we attack those opportunities that come at us, that's the important thing for us. So your mindset is so important. So be patient when things don't go your way. If you blow a tire on the way to work, if you don't get the grade you wanted on that paper, if your spouse accidentally says something to you that maybe they didn't mean because they were just in a bad mood because it's Monday, your mindset and how you respond to those moments as they come at you are so important. So I encourage you today, as you go around living your life, as you go through everything that Mondays throw at you, be patient. Be patient and really take a second when something good or bad happens to you to just reflect on how you need to react accordingly. If something good happens to you, of course, celebrate every win. But if something not so pleasing happens to you, take a second and don't just use your instant raw reaction, because you don't know what kind of a chain reaction you can set off by having a negative thought. And I love the last part of this verse. It says, be faithful in prayer. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, be faithful in prayer. We talk about this all the time about not being a one-way Christian. We want to be two-way Christians, because we need to not only just go to church on Sunday and be around other believers, we need to be making sure that we're staying engaged in our groups that we have as well with us, that maybe there's people, men and women in our church that we can spend time with, whether maybe that's going to youth group or a small group or a life group, depending on what style of church you go to. But being faithful in prayer is something that really boils down to just you and God every single day. My very first episode, way back in the beginning, back in February, but hey, that was 76 episodes ago. Okay, that was a long time ago in podcast world. I said that I try to keep the same morning routine where I wake up and I try to wake up praying, and I try to start my day off with a short, simple prayer and say, God, thank you for this day. Thank you that you gave me the opportunity to be your servant another day here on this earth, and that you've given me incredible blessings for which I can be grateful for. It doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be something that is very long and devout, but being faithful all week long, dropping little prayer messages, and also making sure to not only turn your microphone off as you talk to God, but turn your ears, your headphones on, and listen to what God is saying back to you, because he's going to do it in the weirdest way possible sometimes that you're never going to expect. So keeping your eyes and your ears open is vital. My friends, it's Monday. I believe in you. God believes in you. Believe in yourself, and take these 3 reminders with you as you go about your new week. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction or in hard times or in sufferings, and faithful in prayer. Stay after your prayer life. Stay after staying connected to God. You won't be sorry. Have a fantastic week, and happy Monday. You've been listening to the Verse of the Day podcast presented by Public House Media. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Verse of the Day. I hope you'll go and subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Google Play Music as well. A new episode comes out every Monday through Friday. You won't want to miss it. More information about Verse of the Day can be found by heading over to thephmedia.com. You've been listening